Okay. Since nobody has a PDF except for me, so I mean we could look on the thing I sent, but I'm just going to paraphrase over here from the Hebrew. L'chaim chaim v'rach chaim. Okay. Till now we learned that there are halachic differences between the amount of people that participate in something. You have 10 people, or 5 people, or 3 people. There is a halachic difference to what you could do with 3 people. 3 people's a bezin, a chalitza with 5 people. Once you get to 10 people, 10 people is the max. You don't need anything else, anyone else to do any other to do a religious service. But regarding brachas, there is still a difference between 10 people and 600,000 people. The bracha of Chakam Harazim can only make when there are 600,000 people present. So why is this that regarding halachic ceremony, the maximum is 10 people? Regarding bracha, we made a distinction. So the short answer we said till now was that the purpose of the Alter Rebbe said he heard from the Mezritcher Maggid, it says in Tanya, Il nimtza malach echad b'mam asayim Yisrael afilu einam daber d'Torah ha'imid batal mitziyot lagamri. If there be one angel, a minion, even though they're not studying Torah, the angel will just disintegrate because of the kedusha of the minion. Now, the malach is in a higher world than this world, and yet the malach would disintegrate because of the kedusha of 10 people. So in order to fill the world with holiness, to fill the entire world with holiness, to publicize, to spread Hashem's holiness to the whole world, you never need more than a minion, because a minion is sufficient to reach the whole entire cosmos. But if you're talking about what level of Kedusha, how high you're drawing down, so then there is a distinction between 10 people and 600,000 people, because when there's more people present, you're able to do more. That's why Shimon ben Yochai said that when Hashem wanted to give us the Torah, if one Jew wasn't present, the Torah couldn't have been given. In order to bring down the Torah, to bring down such a high revelation of Hashem, that required a greater amount of people. So regarding publicity is a maximum of 10. Halachic things which require publicity, you don't need more than 10 because 10 is enough to fill the whole world. Regarding to the level of holiness, regarding the bracha that you're drawing to the world, bracha mitzvah shacha, for that there is a distinction between 10 and 100 and 1,000. The more people, the better. Okay. This will help us understand 2 opposite extremes we find about the idea of a minion. On the one hand, it says that if there are 10 people together, they're not studying Torah, they have the Shekhinah there. But if the Shekhinah is there, it's not such a good idea not to speak about words of Torah. In other words, if because you're able to do such an incredible thing, have Hashem's presence with you, so it's not okay to act in a way that's not honorable for Hashem. Precisely because the minion brings the holiness of Hashem to that place, it's not a good idea to not to speak the words of Torah, because the kedusha is there automatically. On the other hand, when you have 10 people, they're studying Torah together, there's something about the Hadas Melech, there's something about Chakam Harazim, there's something higher that's able to be brought down, a much greater revelation than the revelation just of the 10 people. In other words, 10 people together is enough holiness to disintegrate an angel. That's true. But when they're learning Torah, it's far beyond whatever that is. Whatever that kind of kedusha is, that breaks, that is too much for an angel to handle, that pales in comparison to the kind of holiness that's brought down to the world when there is a minion of Yidden learning Torah. The minion of Yidden learning Torah is much, much higher. So although it's great when you have a minion together, they're not speaking words of Torah, the Shekhinah is still there, but when they learn Torah together, there's an incomparable greater light, and that's what caused Hashem to descend on Har Sinai. That's Hashem that caused Hashem to take away all the rules. Till the giving of the Torah, there was a rule: the heavens can't come to earth, the earth can't go up to heaven. And when Hashem gave us the Torah, He he annulled all those rules, and he took away all the separations. What caused that? Not just there was 600,000 people there together. It was they were there to learn Torah. So this tells us that when there are 10 people present and they're not learning Torah, it's not at all the same kind of subject. It's a whole different kind of level of holiness brought down by the minyan. The Gemara says, other mentions in Tanya, that when you are in the presence of someone doing a mitzvah, although he is ignorant, he has no idea what he's doing, you have to stand up and honor the person doing a mitzvah. Why? Because the light of Hashem that's resting upon him while doing this mitzvah. When a Jew does a mitzvah, he becomes one with the Atzmut Mahud, becomes one with Hashem's essence, the one who gave us the mitzvahs. And you can't compare the essence of Hashem, which we connect to when we do a mitzvah, to the godly energy that could fit in the world. You can't compare the essence of Hashem to whatever could fit into California or in the planet Earth and the Milky Way and the galaxies. That's minuscule. Minuscule in comparison to the essence of Hashem, which you connect to when you do a mitzvah. So it's understood how much effort you have to make to bring another Jew to participate in a Dvar Hashem Zu Halacha, and to participate in studying Torah. Even one more, how it changes everything. So you're thinking, hey, I don't speak English so well. Why am I here? But one Jew more come participating in Torah, the Rebbe says, you have to take such an effort because it changes the whole entire the entire thing that you're doing. You're causing another person, another thing in the world to become one with the essence of Hashem. Besides the impact of that particular person who is joining with the essence of Hashem, there's a higher level of kedusha that's being brought down by the addition of one more person. Okay, this is explanation about why our Rebbeim throughout history, even when they had many more than 10 people listening to their Chassidus and their Nigla, and when they had more than 10 people listening to the Chassidus that they shared and the Halacha and the Gemara that they shared, and they weren't satisfied. They devoted themselves, not just in Yiddish as they have sich gelegt, they put themselves in a state of sacrifice, total sacrifice of every fiber of their being, to the point of Mesiras Nefesh, so that the Torah should reach one more person, another person. Why is it so important to reach one more person? You're already putting it out there in the world. It's already public. And there are people studying Torah in public. They have 10 people studying Torah, as Gemara says. And that's sufficient for all matters of holiness. So why do you have to have sacrifice so one more person share words of Torah?
Because it's similar to the concept of 5 more minutes.
So why do you have to have so much Mesiras Nefesh? So you have enough kedusha to conquer the whole world. Why do you have to have one more person? What's the point? The answer is that the level of godliness that's able to fit in the world has no comparison to uniting with God's essence. You could bring down a higher level of kedusha that could disintegrate the world. That's true, but compared to becoming one with Hashem's essence, that's nothing. And the effort that you have to make, or let's say you wanted to make, as my own example, let's say you want to make a Jewish soccer team. Okay, so you're doing something that brings incredible level of kedusha to the world. There are 10 Jews playing soccer, they're playing baseball, playing basketball. There's kedusha that's so great that an angel can't be there. So you want to do that because you think it's a really great thing to bring this kedusha to the world, right? So the effort that's made to bringing people together in general, it should pale into comparison to the effort that's made to bring another person to become one with Hashem's essence, because Hashem's essence is far beyond this world and far beyond all the worlds. It's Hashem's very core. And that's the reason why it was done with Mesiras Nefesh. Mesiras Nefesh means sacrifice, but it means more than sacrifice. The previous Rebbe, Bala Simcha, the one whose Gula was in Bais Taamuz, in every element of his life, he served Hashem with Mesiras Nefesh. As he heard from his father, and he shared that when his father appointed him to work for the community, he made a sort of an akeda with him. The previous Rebbe writes a length how his father took him to the ohel of his father, of the Marash, Tzemach Tzedek, Lubavitch, and there's a little shul in Lubavitch next to the ohel, and the Rebbe Rashab opened the Aron Kodesh, and he told his father and grandfather he's making a covenant with his son, the previous Rebbe, that he has to have sacrifice for his efforts to help the Jewish community, to help the Jewish people. So when the Rebbe Rashab gave him this position, there weren't too many perks in the position. It began with Mesiras Nefesh. So, in order to bring down the essence of Hashem, the essence of Hashem has no limitations. So to bring down the essence of Hashem also on our part, we have to also have Mesiras Nefesh, we have to go beyond our limitations. We can't be satisfied with serving Hashem in a limited way. It's true that when we go beyond our limitations, it's still limited. In Shema, we say every day, you should serve Hashem b'chol me'edecha. Chol me'edecha. That means as much beyond yourself. Beyond you is not beyond me. For you, beyond yourself means to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning to study Torah. For me, it means to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. So it's and they're both limited. 4 and 5 are both limited. But doing something which is beyond what you could do, what seems that you could do, that's sufficient to draw down Hashem's something which is truly infinite, Hashem. Remember Pano, I think we studied this a few times. Remember Pano explains a pasuk, my beloved ran away to the Hari B'Samim. The Barach Dei Hari B'Samim. And Remember Pano says that the Hari B'Samim, the mountains that Torah refers to, are very tall mountains. Why are they such tall mountains? Because they represent a very lofty, very high level of godliness. Since they represent such a high level of godliness, they're also very tall mountains. Now, you can't compare a tall mountain to Hashem's holiness. However big the mountain is, it's still a creation of Hashem. There's no comparison to Hashem's essence. So why are we saying that the mountain represents the infinity of Hashem? And the answer is, it says there in Memi Panel, since for us in our world it's something which is very big, it represents something which is truly very big. In a similar way, they're saying that that when we say you have to have Mesiras Nefesh, sacrifice, to bring another Jew closer to learn Torah, to one more Jew to learn Chassidus, you have to have sacrifice for it. Why sacrifice? Because sacrifice means going beyond yourself. Since you want to connect another Jew to the essence of Hashem, and the essence of Hashem has no limitations, so to make this happen, Hashem wants us to do something which connects to, so to speak, to our essence, to go beyond our limitations and sacrifice ourselves to go beyond what we're used to, what we're comfortable with, to bring another Jew closer to Hashem. That's what our Rebbeim would always do. In other words, in order to make a vessel for God's infinite light, we have to be infinite too. So that's what our Rebbeim did. They publicized and they taught us the path that we need to go in. And by doing this, themselves, they empowered us to do a little bit of what they did. It says on Moshe Rabbeinu in Tanya, the Alter Rebbe says in Tanya, that no one can compare to Moshe Rabbeinu. Me who's ever, who is the one who can possibly think he is a connection to any even 1% or 1,000% of what Moshe Rabbeinu is. Yet the Alter Rebbe says in Tanya that something of Moshe Rabbeinu's light is meir in the kolish to Shams Yisrael, shines to every single Jew, and therefore there is something that we receive called nefesh and Bais Yisrael. Every single soul, the Jewish people, yesh bam b'chidas Moshe Rabbeinu has something in it from Moshe Rabbeinu. And that's why it says in the Talmud that Moshe Rabbeinu was called one of the 7 shepherds of the Jewish people. The meaning of the 7 shepherds is that each of these 7 shepherds gave something to every single Jew. So everyone has something of Moshe Rabbeinu. So too is this true regarding the Moshe of every generation, including the leader of our generation, the previous Rebbe, the Baal Simcha, says the Rebbe, that he brought down and he gave us the power that we can fulfill his instruction, that we should serve Hashem in a way of hasnachas atzmusei. You know what hasnachas atzmusei means? Hanachas atzmusei, Have you heard of such a thing before? Hanachat atzmusei. Hanachat atzmusei means to put yourself on the side. To put yourself on the side. But it means more than that. It doesn't just mean to put yourself on the side. It just could have said hanachat atzmo, putting yourself on the side. The words are hanachat atzmusei, to put your very core on the side. To totally let go in a very deep place. That's hanachat atzmusei. That's Mesiras Nefesh. Mesiras Nefesh, to give away your desire to do what Hashem wants you to do, that there should be one more person, one more connection to God's essence, to fulfill Hashem's intent in the world. Hashem wants to have a dir tachtenim, to have a dwelling place in this world. So it requires of us to have hanachas atzmusei. Hanachas atzmusei is a big thing. The Rebbe Rashab said that the students in the yeshiva Techat, what he wants to accomplish in Techat, he wants them to have hanachas atzmusei. That's the definition of these students. It's true that that there is a someone is maybe a fascinating thing. A gentleman wrote a letter to the Rebbe. He asked me to translate it, and I was a little disappointed while I was translating it. I was thinking, there's no way in the world this is going to answer this person's question, because there's a very generic theme in the letter. אמרתי את זה באנגלית. הנחת עצמותו. So, just a parenthetically amazing thing. This person, he asked me to translate a letter. I was speaking about the idea of the value of the yeshiva of Techat, the value of the Rebbe's yeshiva. And the Rebbe says that just like in Mitzrayim, we were under the rule of the Egyptians. What made us stronger in Egypt was Shaloshinu et Shemam, the fact that we kept our uniqueness. So in a similar way, the Rebbe says, this yeshiva of Techat Mimim, it's a yeshiva which produces tamimim. Tamimim means people who are whole. How are they whole? They're whole in the knowledge of Torah. They're whole in their love for Hashem. They're whole in their reverence for Hashem, and they will spread the word of Hashem. They'll go out. That the world needs this more than ever, because the world is in a not such a good state. The world is in a state of it describes the different challenges that the world is going through. At that time, they spoke about how the world's in danger of self-destruction through an atom bomb, and it's such a time of confusion, and it's such a time of assimilation, and what's needed is we need to have these people from this yeshiva to highlight their unique role as giving, to feel responsibility to share what they have. So I was a little bit disappointed, because I was thinking, like, this guy for sure not get an answer to his letter. But boy, did he get an answer. You know, he wrote to the Rebbe? He wrote to the Rebbe that he can't, it bothers him, the homogenization of the world. It bothers him how the world is all becoming one colossal mass, that in a way that defies logic, that men aren't men and women aren't women, and women are called and there's no one has any distinct role in the world. Everyone's just part of this, and it's such a confusion in the world. And here the Rebbe gives such a clear answer. You need to focus on your gift to the world, your uniqueness, and what you have, and you're sharing Torah mitzvahs. That's what the world needs. That's what will give the world. That will give, just like Mitzrayim, it was our uniqueness that protected us. That's what you need to focus on. So there's an issue. The world has problems. That's true. We're in time of Mashiach, and we need to focus on what our gift is and what we're able to contribute, because it is a time of Mashiach, and it is the darkest moments before the light. And what's needed upon us is to focus on. But anyways, getting back to our point of here, the definition of a tamim is someone who not only is complete in his love of Hashem and love of Torah, of the Jewish people. The definition, the core of what a tamim is hanachas atzmusei, is putting himself on the side. I was by.
Could you also translate it? Could you also translate it as it brings you internal comfort? By you doing that for somebody else, you get atzmos and nachum in your atzmos per se.
Interesting. Well, you're losing yourself in God's essence, and therefore finding yourself. Let's put it that way. because your true essence is Hashem. I was by yeshiva. I was in the 770 in 2001, and Rabbi Shema Zachi was bringing, and he was sharing something that he heard from the Rabbi Yoel Khan's father, Rabbi Fol Khan. Rabbi Fol Khan was present by the Rebbe Shabbos bringing 100 years before in Tafish Samachalaf. Tafish Samachalaf was 101 years, I think, since the establishment of Chatvim, maybe more. I don't know. Either way, it was more than that. So the Rebbe Rashab had said at that Farbrengen, even in Tafish Samachalaf, even though it's such a modern time, Tafish Samachalaf, they still the core of what a yeshiva student in Techatum is. It's the same core. What is a student in Techatum is Hanachas Atzmusay. So Rabbi Zachi was saying that Rabbi Fol Khan said that after that Farbrengen, there was such an excitement that like, we could do this. We could be able to reach this objective that Rabbi Rashab gave for us to feel responsibility for other people. And Rabbi Shemazachi was saying that it hasn't changed. The mission hasn't changed. The world has changed. The mission hasn't changed. What's required of us is Hanachas Atzmusay. And in this particular context, the Rebbe is saying, what are you trying to do? Think about what you're trying to do. You're trying to cause something infinite to happen, trying to cause something otherworldly to happen, which is beyond what angels can handle or they can't handle. You're trying to connect to God's essence. And therefore, it requires in you also something that's beyond limitation, beyond definition. Because the task at hand involves the infinite, so it requires us to look at it from perspective of something which seems crazy to us. The previous Rebbe once said, the definition of a balabas, in the Hasidic lexicon, the owner of a house is the very opposite of the spectrum of a student in the Yeshiva Techatumim. Student in Yeshiva Techatumim is someone who has a Hanachas Atzmusay. Okay, what's a balabas? Balabas. The previous Rebbe was once entertaining a group of Hasidim by Farbrengen, and he was in his home, and someone referred to the Frierdiker Rebbe as the Balabas, as the owner of the home. The Frierdiker Rebbe said, "Do not call me that name, because a Balabas, a David Muzuim, a house owner, the Hasidic lexicon, which means something else, is something repulsive." Anyways, so the previous Rebbe writes in a letter, what's the definition of a balabas? A balabas, which is something repulsive, something reprehensible, is someone who thinks that shinui, that any change is insane. Local. Kol shinui is insane. Thinking that change is insane is a balabas, and the opposite end of the spectrum is hanachat atzmuto. That's the goal over here. So the Rebbe is saying that the reason the Rebbeim had such sacrifice, they went to such means to try to reach to one more person to study Hasidus, is because it connects to God's essence, therefore requires us to do the same. There was a group of college students in the audience with the Rebbe once, and they asked the Rebbe if the Rebbe could do miracles. Can the Rebbe do miracles? What was it? So the Rebbe said, not only could I do miracles, I want everyone here is going to be asked to do a miracle before they leave the Rebbe's room. Miracle means something beyond nature. So in a similar way, the Rebbe says, I want everyone here to take upon themselves to go a step higher where they were before in the Judaism. That is a miracle. So think about this. You're going to ask them to put on film. Do you realize what you're asking them? You're asking a miracle to happen. You're asking something infinite to happen. You're asking them to suddenly stop what they're doing and connect to the essence of Hashem, something which has no limitations whatsoever. So your approach to that person has to also be beyond limitations. It can't just be, well, the guy passed by and he's okay, and he looks like someone did. It has to come from a place within us the part in us that really, really cares. In order to be able to affect someone, to connect them with Hashem's essence, it has to come within us with Mesiras Nefesh. That's why the Rebbe said, before you speak to a Jew about Judaism, you have to say Tehillim first. It says, Sefer Yashar Binu Tam, Dvar Ma Yotzim Min Halev, Nechlasim El Halev. So in order for us to talk from our hearts, we have to say Tehillim. And we have to say, I really care that when I'm talking to this person, Hashem, help me, please let me talk from my heart, so I should reach them. So that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the value of reaching one more person and how this is something which is infinite and therefore requires us also to approach it in an infinite way. Any questions or comments? Yes.
משלים בטל לא קיים. אתה אומר, הנחת עצמות, אתה שם אותו בצד, וכאילו הוא לא קיים. בצד, לא מסתכלים על הצד, מסתכלים על מה שיש באמצע. ביטול עצמו מסתורנה. הנחת עצמו, אם אני הבנתי טוב את הקייס.
As הוא גם, you're asking, even if he has nachat atzmuta, he says everyone can still see me. There's a certain clip, it's called Ru'uma. Ru'uma. Ru'uma is one of the names the Torah says in the book of Bereshit, the book of one of the non-Jewish. It says her name was Ru'uma. So Chassidus says there's such a certain kind of clip called Ru'uma. What's Ru'uma mean? Look how ma I am. Look how ma means bittul. Ru'uma. Stakel, how much bittul I have. You're right. There is definitely a danger for a person to pat himself in the back and say, look at, and even if no one's looking, I'm looking, look at me, there's such a thing. But nevertheless, in order to reach someone else, that's not the focus. Focus is, you're right, it could always be a selfish motive, there's no question about it. But the Rebbe is telling us, don't worry about your level. Don't worry how high you are. You are Ru'uma, you're not Ru'uma. Worry about the other person, what's going on in their life. And don't say I'm only going to go so far. That's the point. Don't say I'm only doing this, not more. Let's go. That's the point. Yeah, we have our own issues inside of us. Take care of that. That's true. But the more important thing is let go. That's our response.